Hey guys, how's it going? It's Nathan from tattooing101.com, and today we're going to be taking a look at the CNC Q2 Tattoo Pen Kit from CNC Tattoo Supply. Now, straight out the gate, this one is a little bit further up the shelf in terms of price. This is going to set you back $240, but there's a lot of things that I really like about this kit that we'll get into in just a sec that definitely, I think, makes it a strong contender. So let's just open it up and take a look at what's inside. Now, straight away, you can see that there's not a ton of stuff in this, right? They give you basically just what you need and nothing else. So with a lot of these cheaper tattoo kits, right, one of the things they use to kind of draw people in is it makes it look like you're getting heaps of stuff. You know, like they'll give you a foot pedal, they'll give you clip cords, they'll give you needles, inks, gloves, steel grips, disposal, all this extra stuff, right? Now, the reality is that most of that's, going to last for a couple of tattoos and either break or, it's not going to be suitable for tattooing actual people. Whereas this tattoo kit pretty much gives you, it's meant for being used on actual human skin. So with that in mind, that they've kind of given you just what you need, they've stripped everything else out. So the first thing that they've got is the pen machine bags. So this is really cool. Like in a lot of the cheaper kits, I'll just give you one clip cord sleeve. So obviously that, kind of indicating, just use this on practice skin. But because this is actually, a lot of professional tattoo artists do use these. These are suitable for people. So with that in mind, they've given you enough clipboard sleeves to do more than just one tattoo, right? So you can keep it, nice and hygienic. But yeah, that's pretty much what they look like. This will only cover the machine though, by the look of it, not the actual clipcord sleeve. Not a huge fan of that. I'll have to use a clipcord sleeve that I've got, but it's good that they at least, they give you a bunch of, machine bags for, multiple tattoos. But if you're using a clipcord, not a battery, then yeah, you'll have to get an additional clipcord sleeve in order to be hygienic. So that's the machine bags. Next up, we've got the needles. So the cool thing about the needles with this kit, right, is that they let you choose the needles that you want. So when you purchase the kit on their site, it has 3 boxes of needles. And there's like a little drop-down menu, and you can just choose what type of needles you want, which is really good, because everyone tattoos differently. Everyone uses different stuff. If you're doing traditional pieces, obviously, you're going to need, thicker needle groupings, 14 liners and up. And you're going to want, 12 gauge mags to do that nice kind of pepper shading. Whereas if you do, realistic black and gray, you're going to want 10 gauge stuff and, curved mags, things like that. So actually, I'm not sure if they do curved mags. Do they? Yeah, they do. They do soft edge mags. That's cool. Great. So those are the needles. Now they're called QL premium cartridges. I've never ever used these things before, so I'm kind of keen to see how they go. I like the cool little image on the packet, which is awesome. But yeah, we'll see how those needles go. And then finally, they've got the actual machine itself. Right. Straight away when you open it, it looks kind of classy. It's like in this cool little pouch. And they've got this nice, foam cutout in the box. And when you look at the machine, though, I was actually really surprised when I first opened this because this is, potentially the smallest machine that I've ever used from memory. It's really light. It's only 108 grams. And it comes with a 3.5 millimeter stroke, but it is adjustable. You can, I think it comes with a 3 millimeter stroke as well. So if you want to do real soft black and gray stuff, you can change it. It also comes with 3.5, which is a bit of an all-rounder. You can do lining, packing, and shading with that. And I think that on the site they do sell 4 millimeter strokes. So if you want to do a lot of thicker liner needle groupings, then you can check that out too. So straight away, the first thing that I like about this machine as well is that when you adjust the depth, because in order to change the depth, you click the grip. Now, a lot of cheaper machines will have a similar kind of mechanism, but instead of having it, click and set, it'll just be kind of rotating back and forth, and nothing will hold it in place. So you'll set the depth right, before you do the tattoo, wrap your machine up, put your clipcord sleeve over it, whatever. And then when you start tattooing, if you kind of turn your arm a bit like that, or you have to adjust your machine and like change angles, stuff like that, it can actually change the depth of the machine because the depth mechanism is just floating back and forth. It just rotates. There's no clicking. Doesn't lock in. Whereas with the CNC Q2, it locks in, so you can hear it when it twists, and it's super sturdy. Like that's not gonna change depth, unless I want it to, which is awesome. Also as well, top bit unscrews, so this can be sterilized, and it's got an O-ring in the back to prevent ink flow coming back in the machine, which is cool. Most people, I'm assuming that are watching this video, won't have an autoclave, but just for future reference, when you do get into a shop, this is a machine that you can use not only when you're learning, but also when you start tattooing professionally too. And a lot of professional tattooers do use the CNC machines. So yeah, they're quite a reputable brand for tattooing machines. They're a lot more, kind of widely used in the Dragon Hawk and the wormhole type stuff. Also, as well, it says on the site, it's got like I'll put all the specs and stuff below so you can check it out, beneath this video. But it says that it's got a Fallhaber motor. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but it's like a German motor that all of the high-end, or a lot of the high-end machines also have. So that's really good. Now it does say that the operating voltage is between 5.5 and 9 volts. So straight out of the gate, this is definitely more of a shader machine. It even says in the name that it's professional shader. The Q2 is a professional shader machine. So I guess this machine is kind of more aimed at kind of like realistic sort of pieces, like soft black and gray, things like that. But we'll give it a whirl. We'll see how it goes with liners as well. Because not everyone does realism. But yeah, we'll try it out. Lining, packing, and shading, and I'll let you know how it goes. So it comes with a little instruction manual, which is always good. Of course, it basically shows you how the whole machine works, and cool little manual to come with it, which is great, because if you're not super savvy with this type of stuff and this is all new to you, then you'll definitely want to check that out. Cool. And it also says don't go over 9 volts with the machine, which is important to note. Otherwise, it looks like it's going to burn out. So we'll keep it on nice low volts and see how we do. And it also comes with a RCA clip cord that you can attach to whatever power supply you got. So there's a lot of stuff that doesn't come with this kit. It doesn't give you inks, it doesn't give you ink caps, it doesn't give you a power supply, it doesn't give you a foot pedal or anything like that. But it kind of gives you sort of the main things that you kind of need to tattoo. So if you do buy this, it'll give you like a lot. But there are going to be some additional stuff that you're going to have to buy. You're going to have to buy power supply, a foot pedal if you use a foot pedal, wash bottles, things like that. So it doesn't give you everything. So that's a little bit, it'd be cool if they had more stuff in it, but they've tried to keep the price down as much as they can while still giving you an awesome machine that's used by professionals. So with that out of the way, we're going to pack this all up. We're going to set up a tattoo. We're going to give it a run, see how it goes. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts on, how it handles, how it lines, packs, and shades. And towards the end, have a look at the tattoo that it's been able to do and give you my recommendation of whether or not I reckon you should get it. And I'll even leave a link down below. So if you want to check it out on their website, you can. And with that said, let's get into it. All right, so we've got the CNC Q2 machine wrapped up. Now, there's quite a few things that this kit doesn't come with. It's literally just the machine, the pen sleeve, the needles, and then the additional stroke bar, and that's it. So we've had to just use some Intense inks, some dynamic black. So we're using an ink that doesn't come with the kit. And I'm also using a critical power supply. It does not come with the kit, but we kind of need one to run it. Anyway, let's see how it goes. And we'll just do the line work first, and then we have to keep it below 9 volts because it says in the manual, do not run this machine over 9 volts. It's probably because it's a shading machine. But we'll see how it goes with lines anyway, and go from there. Straight away, I like this machine. It barely vibrates at all. It's super light and it feels almost just like you're tattooing with a pencil. So I feel like I've got like a ton of control when I'm using it. It's not awkward at all, which would be awesome for someone that's just starting out. But let's keep going and see how it does. Cool. So I've done a couple of lines with it so far, and so far I'm really digging it. It feels like it's really delicate. It doesn't vibrate really much, and it's kind of easy to keep it steady along the line, which is really cool. And something else that I also like about the needles that they give you with the kit is, and I'm not sure if you can see it on the camera, but it tells you the gauge and what size the needle is on the tip of the cartridge. Not all of them do that, which is actually really good. And also the spring in the cartridge, doesn't have a ton of resistance. Some cartridges have like a ton of resistance in the spring and needs like a lot of extra power to kind of push them, but these ones are actually pretty nice. So yeah, so far everything's looking good. All right, cool. So we finished the line work, and it's turned out really good. And I'm pretty excited about this machine for a couple of reasons, right? So not only is it super comfortable to hold, it feels just like I'm tattooing with a pencil, and because of the little grooves that it's got on the side of the grip, if you kind of slot your fingers in those grooves, it just kind of it feels like it just makes the machine a lot more stable. And on top of that, it's actually really easy to change the depth when it has a sleeve on it. So a lot of the cheaper machines that they don't have a locking mechanism when you twist the grip to change depth, but because this one does, you can just keep twisting it and then kind of coming back. And then when you come back, it's not going to make it shallow again. It's just going to keep clicking and clicking, changing the depth, which is really good. The needles are awesome. I opened one just before, and they do have a membrane in them, which is really good for hygiene. You always want to use needles that have a membrane, so that's cool. And yeah, as I said before, the spring on the edge of the needles, it's not super resistant, which is great. It doesn't sort of put additional stress on the machine, which is cool. And it doesn't vibrate. You can hold this machine. It's so easy to hold it nice, steady, and straight. It makes it a lot easier to do line work. And the stroke's interchangeable as well. So right now I'm using a 3.5 millimeter stroke, but you can get a 4, which would make it even better for lining. You can stick out the needles far enough to float the needle on a 9 liner, which is really good. But yeah, anything higher than a 9, I wouldn't really want to use unless I was using a higher stroke. Sorry, a longer stroke. Yeah, the only thing that I'm not liking so far is that it doesn't come with clipcord sleeves. It does come with pen sleeves, which is cool, but for hygiene, you always want to have a sleeve on your clipcord. Yeah, the other downside is that it doesn't give you everything you need. It is quite a more expensive kit, especially than like the really cheap ones. This is kind of like upper middle of the range. Actually, it's probably close to top of the range for actual kits. When you start getting like the really expensive machines, they don't come in kits or anything like that. But yeah, so far this feels like the best machine that I've used out of all the kits that I've reviewed for line work, which is great. Yeah, I just love the way that it feels. It's so soft and it's so light. It makes it just kind of really easy to get nice, sharp, clean lines. So yeah, so far so good. Even though it's meant to be a shader, I like it for line work. So yeah, we're gonna put some blacks in now and see how that goes, and actually use it what it's meant for, which is shading, and yeah, see how it does. All right, so we popped the 10 gauge 11 mag in. We've reduced it down to 6 volts. And yeah, let's put some black into it. All right, so we just finished the design. All the colors have been put in. Looks like there's still a little bit of carbon on. I left the stencil on overnight, so it's pretty much impossible to wipe off at this point. So my thoughts on the CNC Q2 kit, right? I really liked that, this machine is super beginner friendly. It barely vibrates. It feels like I'm tattooing with a pencil. And it's really comfortable to kind of grip. It's an awesome transition from just going from drawing on paper to drawing on tin, just because it's so similar to how that feels. And yeah, it's definitely I'd say this is way, it's obviously more of a shader because it says that on the site, but it can still do lines. Like I was using a 9 liner throughout this whole tattoo. Probably wouldn't go as high as a 9 again if I were to use it one more time. I wouldn't go much higher than a 7. Yeah, I think it's a good machine. In terms of price, I'd give it a 6. It's a little bit more expensive than the other kits, but you get what you pay for. It's the quality is a lot higher. In terms of the quality, I'd probably give it an 8. Yeah, it felt really good. Like the machine feels sturdy. The needles were great quality. All the needle cartridges have eat the gauge and how many barbs are on the needle, so that's really helpful. They came with some pre-clip cord sleeves, which are good. The only thing I didn't like is that they don't cover the full kind of clip cord. They only cover the pen. Not everyone has a wireless battery pack. So that's something to know. And it didn't come with inks or foot pedals or power supplies or stuff like that. But it's kind of everything that they did have in the kit was super good quality. So I would actually use this tattoo machine on someone's skin. I would take this to a shop and I would tattoo with it. So yeah, in terms of handling, it was okay for a liner. I didn't like it a whole lot. It is a direct drive machine, so if you sort of accidentally kind of push too hard, it's just going to chew out the skin a whole bunch, which happens a lot when you're new. But in terms for shading, I found that it hit really soft for shading, and it was really good. I turned the volts right down when I was doing the blacks for the tattoo, and I was able to get kind of really nice, smooth, peppery shades. And then in terms of the color, I didn't have much trouble getting the color in either. I just kept my ovals nice and tight, and I could pack color just fine. Had it on 7 volts while I was packing the color. Not great for a line. This is definitely more of like a doing black and gray realism or color realism or something like that. I wouldn't be doing trad, neo trad. Yeah, and you can't turn the volts up past 9. So when you're using a 14 liner or a 23 mag, you need those higher volts for those larger needle groupings. Otherwise, it just you've got to tattoo really slowly, and it can add hours and hours to the tattoo. So yeah, in terms of handling, I give it a 7. Love the way that it shaded and packed color. I even put in the highlights really nice, so that was good. But yeah, I wouldn't really use it for lining. I wouldn't call it an all-rounder machine. It's way better at shading and packing color than it is for lining. But the design of the machine is really good as well. It's super easy to clean. There's no kind of like parts of the machine where bits of ink and stuff are going to get stuck on it where you can't reach. You can unscrew the top part and chuck that in autoclave if you need to, and you can change the stroke. And changing the stroke is actually really easy to do. It's not, I don't like the CNC WE machine where it's got like the disc on it where you have to put like a couple mils from like the motor, because if you misjudge it, it changes the stroke length. But yeah, this machine I really liked. I definitely highly recommend getting this machine. If you're new, I wouldn't normally recommend like many tattoo kits for when you're just starting out. But this is a kit that you could get when you're starting out, and you could use all the way up until practicing the fake skin and then getting onto actual clients and tattooing with this thing every day. So 100% would recommend checking it out and grabbing it. I will leave a link to just down below this video where you can check it out on their website if you want to have another look at it or potentially purchase it. All in all, solid machine. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next review.